Okay, let's get started so that we can honor everybody's time. Good day, my name's Hilda Gann, and you are joining us for our webinar on COVID-19 Tough Decision for Business Owners. This is our 13th episode, and today's episode is Cash Control, Know Your Numbers and Grow for the Future. My guest is Tracy Bissett of Bissett Financial. So just a few slides before I ask Tracy to join us and start talking. We started this webinar series 6 weeks ago, and it was our desire to provide a webinar that helped managers, business owners, and HR decision makers. We really wanted to give you information, tips, and strategies to help you navigate this very, very tough time that we're in. If you are social media savvy and want to, you can tag us at PeopleBright or at hashtag COVID-19 TDBO, which stands for Tough Decisions for Business Owners. Just a little bit about myself. I am the founder and president of PeopleBright Consulting and the creator of a concept called Connect with RevUp that helps you engage your people at the workplace. I'm an award-winning work culture specialist. My husband and I co-founded an engineering firm called iTrends Consulting. We grew that company from 2 to 125 people in 7 offices across Canada. We wanted it to be a special place to work, and we created a place where staff were professionally challenged, and I mean challenged in a good way, to grow and develop their skills and abilities. And we wanted to make it a great place to work. We actually were recognized as one of the best workplaces in Canada, top 10 twice. And as a result, my passion for people and HR resulted in me founding PeopleBright when we sold the business. My expertise covers the areas of healthcare, human resources, engineering, professional services, IT, and not-for-profits. I'm sharing this list with you. Those of you who have come and heard our series many times know that I like to give you an update. Today, because we have our guest Tracy, this will be for references, as you will get a copy of this at the end of the presentation. Oh, so I'm gonna, yeah, that slide's out of order. Tracy Bissett is a dear friend and colleague of mine, and she is a financial fitness guru. She is the owner of Bissett Financial Fitness, and she has a podcast called Young Money, which helps young people, gives them advice to be future millionaires. She is so passionate about financial literacy, and she volunteers her time freely. I am so excited to have her join me and share with you cash flow, and you're in for a treat, and you're in for getting to know what you need to know. I'm going to stop sharing now and allow Tracy to share her slides. Thanks, Tracy, for coming.
Thanks, Hilda. I'm really excited to be here. As you know, I love to talk about cash flow, so I'm very excited, which is fantastic. I'm just going to adjust my slides here. Can everybody see my slides now? It says cash control right on the screen. Yes?
Yep, I see it.
Okay, so perfect. So we're going to talk about cash control, know your numbers, protect your business, and grow for the future. And we are certainly in unprecedented times. So it's really the time to talk about cash flow. I talk about cash flow pretty much every day, so really a passion of mine. So we're going to talk about why it's really critical to know your numbers now, how you can go about assessing your financial situation, and how to develop that cash flow plan that's going to support your business as you move forward. So excited about that. So just a little bit about me. So this is me and my dog Rosie, who is a therapy dog, and we actively volunteer visiting seniors. This is from last summer when we were in Nova Scotia. And I'm really on a mission to educate and empower entrepreneurs to take control of the money in their business so they can live their lives and make business decisions with confidence. I've got lots of financial education. I've got a Bachelor of Commerce, a Master's in Business, and I am a CFA charter holder. I worked for over 20 years in the financial services industry in commercial lending, helping business owners get access to the financing they needed, as well as approved loans for businesses across all industries, all across Canada. I'm currently a professor at Centennial College in Scarborough, and I teach in a financial services program, so I have lots of different ways to explain things. And when I was young, I was very entrepreneurial, so after my time at the bank came to an end, I started my own business, which really allows me to help people on a daily basis make sense of money. And the business owners that I work with, they tell me that I give them lots of direct feedback. I'm very straightforward in the way that I approach things, and they know that I've got their back and really helping them grow business. So that's a little bit about me, so you know where I'm coming from. And so why is it really critical that you know your numbers now, really with this global pandemic? And there's two things that I know to be true in all times. So number one, no matter what the economic situation, good companies are always going to perform well. They're not only going to survive this global pandemic, but they are going to thrive. The second thing I know to be true is that business owners who take the time to plan and try to forecast where their business might be going, what are some of the potential issues, how might they solve them, those businesses are going to have a greater chance for not only surviving, but also thriving. I talk with many business owners regularly who kind of ignore the numbers, don't think it's very important. And I've been very encouraged over the last 6 weeks as we've been going through this global pandemic, where I've been getting a lot more inquiries and people starting to take that first step. And you heard Hilda say, my business is Visit Financial Fitness. I come at it from a positive angle in that everybody can learn something new today and move forward on this financial fitness. So it's not about being illiterate financially, it's about how can we move forward. So you're in the right place today so that you can take control of your numbers. And so what we're going to talk through is me showing you how to get through this clear path. If you're looking at this picture, you can see thousands of rocks in it. But if I guide your attention to the middle of the screen, you can see those larger rocks and it becomes more clear where it is that you need to go. And that's my hope for you today, that as I talk through how we assess financial performance, that you're going to feel like you see a path for you to be able to do it in your own business. And certainly business owners who take the time to learn their numbers, get comfortable with them, continue to ask questions and advance their knowledge. I know they sleep better, they have less anxiety, and they feel more in control of their environment, which is really important. So, how are we going to assess the financial situation? So I thought that we'd start quickly with just a recap. For some people, it may be very old hat to them, maybe something that they know. But for others, I want to make sure that the distinction is really clear. What's cash flow versus profit, and does this difference matter? And so you may look at your sales and your expenses on your income statement or your profit and loss, and you may see what those numbers say, and those might be the only details that you look at in your business. So when you're calculating your profit, that's based on accounting rules. It includes all your sales and expenses for a certain period of time, but it doesn't actually factor in what's happening from a cash perspective. So you can have a lot of sales, but if you never collect money from any of your clients, you don't have very strong cash flow, and you may or may not be paying your expenses depending on your cash situation. And cash flow is really around when does money come in, when does it go out, and the timing that it happens. And oftentimes it doesn't coincide nicely the way that we would like it, and it doesn't always line up so that we have the money that we need. And so I just wanted to do a quick touch base on that so we know the difference. And today we're really focused on cash flow. Cash is the key, and that's what's going to get us through the next several months. And how we manage our cash situation is what's going to set us up for success moving into the future. And so moving on to how do we assess this and how do we develop our cash flow plan? I've got 5 steps to cash flow clarity, and I'm going to walk through each one. So visualize your business, visualize the situation that you're in. And we start always with, where are we today? What is in our bank account? How much money do we owe? And we need to figure out, where are we today? Some of you may know that off the top of your head. Others may need to go a little and do a little bit of digging, but that's a piece of factual information that we can find today. Then we're forecasting our cash flow plan, because we need to know, are we going to have money to be able to pay for all the things that are coming up in the next few months? We need to estimate how much money is coming in. Some businesses are absolutely thriving, the ones that may be doing things with the healthcare industry, that may be producing goods or services that are in high demand, and some may have challenges from a cash flow perspective because they're growing so significantly. And so they need to think about when will they get those funds. If you're in a business, I'm going to pick event planning as a potential example. You're going to get a deposit as soon as you book a contract with a client, and then you're going to get paid all of the money before you actually go and do that event. If you're in another kind of business where you provide your service and then you invoice after the fact, and people are paying you 30, 60, 90 days later, that makes it more challenging to figure out on that step number 2 what those inflows are. And so it requires a little bit of science or math and a little bit of art, because we need to look at, hey, what happened last year? Do I think that what happened last year is going to happen again this year, or do I need to make some adjustments? Maybe I still have sales, but I know that my clients can't pay me, so I'm going to show those inflows coming later in the year than when I normally expected them. And so definitely not, the goal is not to be perfect as we're doing these estimations, but it's for your best effort. So then we move on to step 3, and I've got bills, got to estimate all of those outflows. So some of you may have taken the time already to take a look at all of your bills that you have and see which ones do I still need to keep paying. Maybe there's some softwares that you have that you signed up for, you use them for a couple months, you realize, you know, I don't actually need those ever. Maybe it's because of the situation, you can pause some expenses, maybe club memberships, gym memberships, anything that you're not using, transit passes, anything that's flowing through your business that you can't use right now. And then there may be some things where you can arrange not to make the payments. So Hilda mentioned at the beginning some of those programs that the government has made available. Certainly you don't need to make your remittances to the government on the same schedule that you used to. Certainly with lenders, you're able to get access to financing, and you're also able to get access to defer your payments. So when you're building out your cash flow plan, you're going to factor in those things to see what the true situation is. So now step number 4, we're putting all those pieces together. So we know where we started, we know how much is coming in, and we know how much is going out, and that creates the cash flow forecast. So it might sound a little bit daunting to those who are listening. Maybe that's something that you haven't thought about before, haven't created before, but I can assure you that it's something that can be done in a really straightforward way. You can take out a piece of paper and jot down the numbers. You don't need to be in a fancy accounting software. You can move on to Excel, but it can be done on paper, and that's the beauty of it. There is no barriers to entry to taking a look at your plan for cash flow and being able to figure that out. And then the final piece, which is really, really important, it's not a one-time exercise that you build this cash flow forecast. You're going to make it a routine and be something that you're thinking about every day. To be a true leader in your business, you are in charge and responsible for the financial aspects. One of the things that I see routinely, no pun intended here with my make it a routine point, but I routinely see business owners completely delegate the responsibility for the numbers to their bookkeeper or their accountant. And I'm a huge advocate for you bringing in support and help with those numbers, but you are still the person who's responsible and accountable for that at the end of the day. So they can help you source the numbers, they can help you with your bookkeeping, do your financials, but you need to sit down and look at them at least once a month, figure out how am I moving towards my goals, what was my strategy, can I do some things different? Now, the wonderful thing about a cash flow forecast when you have it is that you can use it to make decisions. And so I'm gonna move on from there, but I want to just recap those 5 steps to cash flow clarity. Where are we right now? What is going to come in? What has to go out? And when we put those pieces together, how does it look? And most of you in this time, from the business owners that I've been talking to, you're going to have a shortfall. There may not be enough money right away to cover all of the things that you need to do, and that's perfectly normal. So it may cause you some anxiety, but take a deep breath, rest assured, this is perfectly natural, and I'm going to talk you through what we do next. So doing this cash flow planning really supports us to do a couple things. First, it protects our business as we move forward, and it really supports us to grow our business into the future. So we know that we potentially have this shortfall, and I would say that most entrepreneurs out there are seeing this negative number. And so now we can proactively plan for dealing with this issue. Are there other things we can defer? If we are still paying our employees, have we taken advantage of the wage subsidy if we qualify? What are the other things that we can do? And I mentioned at the beginning, a lot of entrepreneurs feel some anxiousness, some anxiety. Sometimes they're not focused on the numbers because it's scary. Maybe numbers are not their thing. I know business owners go into business because they're so passionate and they excel at what they do. And that's why they deliver their product or service that they do. And numbers might not be part of the education that brought them there. But what I know to be true is that when you know the facts, you can focus on proactive, action-oriented solutions to solve the problem. If not, you're kind of in this circle that continues to go around where you don't know what is the true situation and you're not sure what the magnitude of the problem is. So I've had some people tell me that situations are so bad, and then when we actually sit down and do the numbers and we create a cash flow forecast together, the problem is not as big as they made it in their mind. And we are able to then quickly brainstorm a couple of ideas that might work to help them solve that issue. And you can expense cut your way to a certain extent to become profitable. But at the end of the day, it's really going to be driven by your profitability. So making money on the products or services that you sell and increasing those sales. And so sometimes people will say, you know, I can't afford that new employee. I can't afford that new piece of equipment for my business. And I'll say, let's see. Let's test that theory. So we build out this cash flow forecast, and then we see, hey, with a few more hours on business development, you can increase sales that actually allows you to afford that support person, which will then free up even more time for more sales and business development. So knowing the numbers is really key. There are some businesses out there that I've talked to who are in dire circumstances, who should be taking advantage of all of those supports that the government is making and will be trying to survive throughout this time. It's very interesting. There are some others who I've been talking to who think that maybe they shouldn't apply for these funds because there are other companies out there who are in a worse off situation. And I don't think that they should do that. I think if you qualify, you should take the money. As this slide's talking about, we want to support your business going into the future. We are in unprecedented times. We likely will not go back to the old normal that we used to know. We don't know yet what the new normal will be or when that timing will even happen. And so why not build up cash reserves? Most of you have probably heard in your personal life, strong encouragement to develop an emergency fund, kind of 3 to 6 months of your expenses. The same goes in your business. So if you can access one of these government supports to put some cash into your business, keep it, save it in your account. We don't know what will happen in 2-3 months, and you want to build up your financial fortress so that you can navigate the future with confidence. And it will bring you a lot more clarity, a lot more confidence as you're making decisions, because you'll know you have that safety net. And so really setting your business up at this time for success on the financial side is absolutely critical. Now, I want to do a quick little recap, and then I'm really delighted to take some questions because I'm sure people have some that are burning on their minds. So we talked about why it's so important to know your numbers now, and if you've been putting it off, don't delay. Now's a great time, and you haven't missed anything. It's always great to start. Secondly, we talked about how to do that assessment and actually develop that cash flow plan, and then how that plan can actually help you make decisions. The time-consuming part comes at the beginning when you're building the plan, but then you're able to adjust it very quickly every time you need to make decisions. And Hilda's heard me talk about this, but with a cash flow plan, you're able to then move the numbers around and make decisions around future expenses, future investments in your business in really under 5 minutes, because you've done the work, you've got the plan there, which is very adjustable based on what the world and the economy might throw at you. But then you're in the driver's seat in terms of what decisions are you going to make, and you're able to see the financial impact. And I've got there on the right-hand side those 5 steps to cash flow clarity, just to remind you. We start with where we are. We figure out how much comes in. We talk about how much is going out, put those pieces together, and then we do make it a routine where we review this regularly. And that's the other thing I find is that sometimes business owners, they look at their numbers maybe once a year with their accountant. This should be a regular thing. And I highly encourage money meetings weekly with yourself. If you have business partners, certainly include them. And so I've brought a special gift for everybody who's listening today. If you go to bizmoneycoach.ca, you can download the Can I Afford It Money Meeting Agenda, and you're going to be able to take that first step today. Even if the step is I'm going to look at the money meeting agenda and make sense of what it is that I need to start with. And taking those positive actions and those positive steps every day will bring down anxiety and any concerns that you have about the numbers and the cash flow in your business. And so we've really just scratched the surface today on cash flow. I hope you can tell that I'm super passionate about helping entrepreneurs with cash flow and trying to take the mystery out of it. And so I would really love if anybody wants to connect with me on social, feel free to send me any messages, comments, questions. I share lots of tidbits ongoing. And as Hilda mentioned, I do have my podcast, Young Money, and a lot of times feature entrepreneurs as well as experts that can help businesses. So I'm going to turn it back to Hilda, and then happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Hilda, you're on mute.
Hi, thank you, Tracy. That was really, really, really good. It's excited me to get going on my cash flow. it's here and here, but it's not on paper. And I think sometimes when you put things on paper, it really makes sense. So we're going to open it up for some questions at this point. Do people have any questions?
We don't have any questions so far. And since we're a small group today, we could just open up the discussion and have everyone unmute themselves and share if they want to.
Sure. I do have one question for Tracy in terms of cash flow. Can those people who do have a software such as QuickBooks, Intuit, do they have a cash flow, like a place where you can do your cash flow forecasting?
It's more challenging in the software, and from all accounts of the clients that I work with, it doesn't work as well. So I generally work with my clients on an Excel-based tool. So to keep it simpler, because we do want to focus on the big picture. We're not replacing any accounting, so we're not trying to recreate any of the accounting work, but it becomes more cumbersome when you do that.
Appreciate knowing that.
Yeah, and I like your point that you led with around getting it out of your head, getting it onto either Excel, getting it onto paper, because we take up space in our brain concentrating on these numbers. Oh, I have to remember rent is due, my insurance is due, I have to pay my staff, and you're taking up your bandwidth with things that don't necessarily need to take up space. And you might be missing something in terms of a number or just making the numbers bigger. As soon as you get it out, you can now focus on how do I solve this, or what else do I need to focus on. And it's really interesting and really inspiring when I see business owners kind of lift that money fog. You can see when it comes off somebody because they've just been weighted down with this worry and this concern. When they get it off them, can put a box around it, can focus on it, certainly then they are able to actually do what they do best. They can focus more on their product or service delivery. They're able to give better attention to their clients. They're able to be more creative. And I know everybody knows this, but just to reiterate, money impacts every part of our life. So if my business isn't making very much money and I've made commitments to my family to take them on a trip or to pay for something, and now I can't do that, I'm feeling bad, not only in my business as a business owner, but now I'm letting my family down. And so it is all interconnected. Stress is going to harm my health. So the sooner we get a start and we start to get a handle on it, we're going to free up our bandwidth. We're going to make ourselves feel better, and people around us will notice. It's very interesting the way that happens.
Yeah, there was a comment on the chat. Heather said that that's a good point, bandwidth, because I think too much stuff is in our head and that occupies our space. And then this time of COVID-19, there are so many things that we're juggling, and it's new. You know, it was new for the people who had never done Zoom before. I think most people are pros now, but there's so much going on, and we're constantly learning new things, and the government's throwing new subsidies or revising subsidies. So there's so much in that head. So anything that we can can move out will increase the bandwidth. And I think the important thing about that is it helps us keeps our stress level down to a manageable size. So anything that you can do to manage your stress, and that's decreasing one item on bandwidth, is really, really useful. Do we have another comment on the chat line, somebody said? No, that's Heather's comment.
Yeah, I was really pleased. I started working last week with older couple. They're in their late 60s. They have decided that they need to increase their financial acumen, because what I coach is around understanding your financials and building those cash flows. And they've seen their business decline. They're in construction, and so they're only able to still do the projects that were essential, or residential projects that were already started. And so they've seen a huge decrease in their sales. And for them to get on Zoom with me was really hard, but they did it. And so if people who've been in business for 40 years, close to 70 years old can do it, everybody can do it. And I was really inspired to talk with them, and they were figuring out the camera and the volume on the mic, and we did it. And we're going to have a great couple of months working together. And I can tell that they love their business, they want to serve their clients, and they want to make sure that they can thrive through this. And they did something to take control of their financial future, as opposed to letting it happen to them.
And I think that's so important in every aspect. You know, some people on the call are probably in human resources, others are, have businesses of their own. And no matter what walk of life, you do learn. And I mean, some people can think about their cash flow personally now, because we're all in this, we're all worried. Megan's saying here, I'm in a unique situation in that I have a new business that's been unable to open doors. That must be weighing heavily on you, Megan, for sure. I can only imagine what that's like. But it's important.
One thing, it's important to reach out to professionals. So Megan, if you have a banker, if you have an accountant, you have other business owners that you trust and you share stuff with, reach out for support. Because sometimes talking to someone sparks a new idea. There are things that nobody knows everything. As you mentioned, Hilda, they're changing these subsidies and these programs every day, it feels like. And you might have been ineligible when the program first launched, like the CBA, getting that $40,000 interest-free loan with $10,000 forgivable. You might have been ineligible at the beginning, and now you are. Certainly the stuff around the rent relief has come. And so talk to somebody who knows. You don't need to become the expert. Yeah. And while I was really highlighting staying focused on you being accountable as the owner for the numbers, it doesn't mean you do it alone. You get whoever you need to support you with that.
And I loved how you had this clear path picture, because I think regardless of the area of expertise, all of a sudden business managers have to be experts at every aspect, whether it's accounting, financial, human resources, mental health, safety and security now. So you can't be an expert in all these areas. So use your network that you've created, use your connections, search for people who can provide you some relief. I know that we had a couple who, again, are thinking they're going to retire in a few years' time, but now that's on hold. But they'd been in business for 25 years, and they'd never had concerns about human resources, because they're good people and they do the right thing, but they don't know all of the legislative implications or the risk of now, what do I do about layoff? What do I do about returning people to work? What about terminations? And so talking to somebody just gives them peace of mind. And I know the fog lifted for them when we just had a half an hour call ourselves.
Yeah, the other thing, if I can just jump in, so if there's any HR managers who are listening, it's a really good time. I know you've got a lot on your plate, but think about your employees, and they may be having anxiety and concerns around their financial situations. While they may still be employed with you, what about their spouse? What's happening to their family? Are you able to offer access to resources for them to learn about things that can help them financially? Because on the individual side, there are so many programs as well that people are not understanding. So bringing financial fitness to the workplace, I think would go a long way as well to ease some of that anxiety and help with mental health. Because people are struggling. Everyone's, I've been saying it a lot, everybody's going through this global pandemic together, but we are not in the same boat. We are all in different boats. Everybody's
Yeah.
financial situation individually as well as in a business is different, and people will need different plans of attack. And so saying we're all together is great, but you will need then probably assistance to help you navigate your path across the ocean or the river, wherever we are in our boats.
So a couple of people are making comments. Do you guys want to come online, Megan or Heather? This is an opportunity for you to talk if you'd like. Maybe we'll.
Heather said nope.
No. Okay. I'm
That's
just going to,
okay.
because Megan shared it with everyone, I'm going to just share this. I'm in a situation in that I have a new business that has been unable to open the doors. To my knowledge, I'm not eligible for any assistance programs as I don't have lost income. I didn't have any income, obviously, and I have no staff, therefore no one to support. I'm currently paying adjusted mortgage, but as you know, that is interest-only payments. Those, in fact, increase my long-term debt for a very small gain at present. But with zero income, it's a situation I must endure. I love to hear from others options that might exist.
Do you mind sharing, Megan, what your business is when you plan to open it? Like what kind of business?
Megan, you are muted. If you want to unmute yourself, the button is on the bottom of the screen.
Or you can type it in if you like. I can see the comments.
Yeah.
Here, let me unmute yourself. You for you. Okay.
Is it working now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome.
There we go.
Okay. Well, thank you. I have had a dog training business for actually multiple years now, several years, and I was declaring it as personal income, and I was nowhere near the 35,000 HST limits, and everything was just hunky-dory, except that I wanted to expand. And because of the limited opportunities there are for dog businesses, at least in the city where I am, which is quite dog unfriendly, I couldn't rent anywhere. There was nowhere in city properties, no parks, nowhere that has a food service license can they allow pets in the location, right? It was very, very difficult, and I couldn't find a room. I had been renting a very small classroom, which was great, and they were nice, but I couldn't expand. It was cramped. So we said, fine, go big or go home. And we bought a building in the industrial park. And the bonus to that is that there is a great big, huge open room in the warehouse that is literally 40 feet by 40 feet. Perfect training for what I needed. So we had, embarked, we bought it in October, and I thought I'd be open in January, but bureaucracies and building permits and inspectors and yada yada, the scheduling trades, we weren't open. And I have some folks, 3, that had put down a deposit and said, when you open, I want to take your class. So I now am struggling to move online. It's a techie nightmare for somebody who actually got into dogs because she hates effing technology. And, I look at this, because we have a mortgage, we created a company. So we are a limited company now because the expenses are more than the HST limit. So, it's like in for a penny, in for a pound. Here we go, right? And so I'm not eligible for programs. We have no income. I have no staff. It's a company, therefore the personal part does not come into play. We couldn't get that anyways because I actually have a retired. We're both in our 60s, and we have retirement income, which we thought we could leave alone because we were doing a business, and the business model looks sensible. The building will house a doggy daycare as well. So I'll be able to combine training and daycare, and the numbers look fantastic.
When the doggies can come.
Yeah, when the doggies can come. And like, I guess I should also tell you my background. I have a master's in economics, and I signed up for this just in case there was something that there was some other avenues that I might explore, hear about, that you guys might drop in tidbits somehow.
The one thing that's coming really top of mind, because your situation is unique, and we know that with the government programs that have been launched, there are businesses that fall through the cracks. And I think yours is a perfect example of that. Not in a good way for you, but because you were almost open but not open, you don't meet a lot of those eligibility criterias. The group that's doing a lot of advocacy on behalf of businesses who don't meet the requirements is the Canadian Federation of, I think it's Independent Business, it's CFIB. I follow them on social media. They're doing everything that they can. So I would encourage you to reach out to them and let them know your situation. See if there's something you can support that they have underway. They've been circulating various petitions. If they haven't started one that fits this criteria of ineligibility, maybe you can get them to start it, or at a minimum you can help share it to get more support to rally the government to make the changes, because there are other people that I've heard of in the same situation as you. I know with my own doggy daycare, they opened for the last couple of weeks on a limited schedule, and then they emailed us yesterday to say that they've been shut down now by inspectors because they're no longer deemed essential. So even the ones that are open are having a challenging time. Thank you, Jenny. She put the link to CFIB in the chat, so you have that.
Yes,
Megan.
thank you.
And then
I haven't actually joined any organization. There's also the local Chamber of Commerce, but if you have no income, paying memberships in the Chamber of Commerce doesn't make a lot of sense either, right?
Absolutely. And the other thing I would think too is if you can do some research in your area of businesses or even volunteer groups that are doing a lot to help battle the pandemic, you might have the potential to rent out some of your space kind of as a sub for people to come in and use it. We know that people are making use of space to even help assist with food banks, because they actually need to be more physically dispersed. So that would be my other recommendation. So contact CFIB, see if you can make sure, number one, they've started on advocacy for your particular situation. If they have, support them and spread it, so that, because I think the petitions are getting noticed and the government is taking action because they know the programs don't fit everybody. And then see if there's anybody who could sublease your space, even if it's for a really discounted amount. That could help ease some of that cash flow pressure in the short term.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, a great supporting comment from Heather. She's also a dog person. Megan will do well when she's allowed to open.
Where is your business, Megan?
I live in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and thank you, Heather.
Oh, that's
Heather
awesome.
actually put me on to this event happening, and she sent me the link, so double thank you.
That's great. So I said it, I think I said it at the beginning, but maybe I didn't. I'm from Nova Scotia, so very nice to see East Coast people on the call.
Yeah, we thought from some of the names today, we had some doggy people, so this was kind of cool because Tracy's an.
Oh, I'm glad I showed my picture of Rosie.
Yeah, you should see Rosie in her Wonder Woman Halloween costume. It's really, really, really interesting. Okay, I'm going to just wrap up here then.
Hilda,
yes.
Before you go, there was a comment also from Heather that she recently had received legal advice about permanent layoffs for employees, and the financial implications are terrifying, to be honest.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I think, sure, thank you. I really think it's a very, very difficult time right now. And because you're going to go through permanent layoffs, yes, the advice is always to go with a human resources lawyer, because they understand the numbers. They have the statistics on what should be shared. And I agree with you, those numbers are terrifying. I actually sent Heather a private message saying if she wants to have a one-on-one conversation, that I welcome that. And I think The thing that human resources professionals like myself do is similar to the finance. We help you navigate and understand the decisions that you have to make. Because if you go one way, this could result in a higher risk outcome of possibilities, those stones along the way. And if you go with a different outcome, there'll be less pebbles or boulders blocking your way to get across. So that's where somebody like myself would really be helpful. And I'm happy to have that one conversation with you if that's going to help allay some of the fear. I mean, you can't do much about the financial implications, but that's a discussion that I'm happy to have. I think that during this difficult time, really, it's important that people have that opportunity to learn from others. And I'm finding myself, we have forums for HR people, and we kind of get together and say, so what do you make of this? So a lot of our knowledge is based on sharing with others who are knowledgeable to know what to do. So examples like people who are applying for CERB. There is something with the CERB that is open to people who do not have opened their business. And I think that's something that you might want to look at to see if there is an opportunity to determine if for people who've not even started up, how the government is going to be lenient. I haven't looked into that myself, but that's one other thing. Is there any other thoughts that you guys want to share before I just wrap up? Okay, so I want to just finish off here. So we do provide these regular sessions, and our upcoming ones for for Friday is, are you ready to reopen your business? So this is where I will share some of the steps that you need to do to think about bringing back people, safety for people, both clients and customers. So some of those nuances that you really need to think about, I will be there and have open dialogue. Next Wednesday, my guest is Aviva Abraham. She's with a group benefit planning group, and she's going to talk to us about group benefits for those people who are paying for group benefits. There are some organizations that are actually reducing the fee, because let's face it, we're not going to the dentist, we're not going to massage. Why are we paying the same amount every month? And it's not going to necessarily catch up. It might, but in some cases it may not. Following that, the following Friday, I will be doing business continuity plan and helping you navigate the ins and outs and things that you need to think about. Wednesday, May the 20th, my guest will be Helen Patterson of Life Works Well. And she and I are going to have a dialogue because we're both HR professionals and we both really care about mental health and making sure we all live through COVID in a balanced way. So we're going to have some dialogue about the mental health aspects that you need to think about for yourself as well as for your staff. So how can we help at People Bright Consulting? As Tracy said, we are experts in our field and we can help you navigate. And what I'm doing is I'm offering what I'll call the COVID-19 special. Normally I do a retainer package. So say it's 2 hours and you can call me 1 time, 5 times, whatever it takes to take up 2 hours worth of dialogue and research by us. And normally that would be $600, but I'm offering it for $300 and I'm extending the period that is usually monthly to 6 weeks. So I think this is a great deal if it helps people have peace of mind, just talking to an expert. Because of the bonus, we're going to add a 30-minute strategy call. So start off with 30 minutes of dialogue and then 2 hours additional retainer. For the first 10 people that register for our COVID-19 special, I will also throw in our HR self-assessment audit. That will help you know all the things you need to be doing for your staff by law, by legislation, or just to communicate effectively with the staff. And you can do a self-audit. So that's available to you if you would like to do that. At the end of the day, we are going to send you copies of Tracy's slides. These slides, you'll hear, you get a copy of the recording and the references. I do have some references that I will be sharing on the slides so that you have them. And the CFIB
give you
is there too.
testimonial, Hilda, because I made use of your special retainer package as I try to onboard a couple of contractors during this time. So Hilda's been great, really responsive, and really practical advice to help me.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think all of us need help, and knowing where to get it is good. And as I said, I want to be able to help, so I've actually given a really good price to give peace of mind. Are there any more thoughts or questions? I really want to thank Tracy today. She's just really helped us figure out that, yes, there's money coming, money going, but we really should sit down and map that out, because even mapping it out may give us a peace of mind. And if you need to have somebody to talk to about it, then that can even be better. So when you get the email, if you didn't snap the shot, do request that free meeting agenda from Tracy. So thank you very much, Tracy, for coming and sharing your wisdom and helping me get motivated to do my cash flow and give us an opportunity to think of one more thing that we need to do that will give us peace of mind as we go through these very, very difficult times.
Thank you, Hilda. It's been my privilege to join you today. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for taking time from your busy time and your business to join us today. Thanks a lot. And I hope to see you on other podcasts. And again, thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Jenny and Diane, for your help in making it run smoothly so I don't have to worry about the tech stuff. Okay,
No
thank
problem.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.